rotating than we just started when we, start the main program.
5.
Yeah, so just to begin with, we'll just do this again with just, because this is all I'm working at the moment. It's just trying to get this crook, the space underneath the neck down, so I'm tilting my pelvis to shut this initial space. That's what this basically feels like. So I tilt the pelvis, and that's my first sort of drive. And now as I get this flat, I put my hips up to put more weight into my neck. My arms are just resting for now at my sides, and now I put my feet underneath just to provide some support. And now I should be locked into a pretty good frame.
And you're keeping your hands across your stomach, that area.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that Machida thing that he was showing on the anti-clinch. Yeah, well, he was doing it against John Jones. I don't know if you saw that clip I posted, but he's just rolling his elbows. So rather than getting involved in big, big pummeling situations, he just rolls his elbows and just keeps his arms on the inside. And that was what he did quite well against Jones before Jones started to impose himself. But he was very good in the clinch, just by doing something so simple. So once you get up there, you can start thinking about, I need to just roll my elbows. Thinking about how turning your thumbs, just turning your thumbs here, will do things like close space. So if you turn your thumb out, your elbow will come in across the front of your body. And it's just kind of these little lines while keeping your chin tucked. And then just one to add in. So I take my head off to one side, here to shoulder. I'm going to try and keep my hips up for as long as possible, and I'm going to step my opposite leg all the way over and come into my universal scroll. So that effectively it gives me a way of going to line pillow. So I'm then dropping my hips. Don't drop your hips in order to move. Keep your hips up. Find ways of taking your hips straight up. The other option is going all the way over into the flat sprawl. So you go line pillow, or you go a flat sprawl like Henry shows on the mount. So every single time I set up with this, I think of the relationship between the pelvis and this space at the back of my neck. So that's the first bit that I do. Then I can go high, feet up, head to one side. I'm going over here. So when I bridge, I'm creating a space for my head to turn, which allows my shoulders to turn. And if it's mount, I'm just basically coming to the front of my thighs. And it looks like my hips drop, but what it does is it keeps my connection on my hips constant. Connection is more important than the height. And what people have a tendency to do if they go to their shins, and I do this a lot, you go to your shins is as you start to go over, if you try and come up to your knees, your hips lose connection doing this. That's the wrong way. So you're literally just trying to get a bit lower. You're not dropping the hips. The rotation ends up being lower, but you land on the front of your thighs. Yeah, so just add that in. That's kind of like what you typically see in mount. And you're just trying to keep that constant force, even though it's a lower rotation. about almost like when you come up, it's almost like you're landing in the hip extension, like the top of the belly.
Like we press it down.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like you've still got the hip flex.
You're trying to keep the hips flexed. That's the key point. Well, the hips are actually extending.
Yeah.
The flexing would be me. This would be me, I think, flexing my hips.
Yeah.
Because you start to, your abductors, all of this starts to basically contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got abduction and adduction, and then you've got this, I don't know, I think it's extension just because it's straight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
it flexes when it contracts, when you bring it all tight here. I was doing hip work here.
Like when you're doing a chalk.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the biggest thing, is trying to get used to this uncomfortable sensation. I find it uncomfortable, of keeping your hips actually in front of your knees and shoulders. And that actually means lower arcs a lot of the time. You're not getting a big looping arc, which I think people in their head think is the most important thing. But if that hip starts to turn inwards, even if you're rotating higher, you start losing pressure. You really want to, you're really trying to land in the sprawl, which is actually hips as far forward as I can go. I put the tight hip flex as well. That's what I think this is. I'm trying to get to that. Does that make sense? So you're starting the bridge, and the bridge is actually a sprawl. And it's more important that that arc, it can go low, but it has to not do that. And so you're landing either in the iron pillow, which is actually just a universal sprawl with an arm position, or you're landing both down. But either way, you're sprawling.
All the bridges is a sprawl, isn't it?
Yeah, you go from a sprawl, an upward facing sprawl, to a downward facing sprawl, and you try not to let that drop. And I think that's the most important thing in mount. I think it's the most important thing in side control. Because you're going to get stuck flat. People are going to drive you flat. There's no getting away from it. No one wants to be down there, everyone's rather be on top. And so that's the most important thing. And if you're going to go to your side, you're doing it by going to an iron pillow. You're doing it by just choosing to go early, not even fighting to retain guard. You just go straight to the pillow. You're getting into your bottom of your, basically you're getting into your sprawl, which is basically bottom of the double. That's a sprawl as well, when they give it shit names. It's still a sprawl. It's still just you. I drop into a double, I'm in a universal sprawl. Yeah. So we just start trying to reduce the amount of mental models that we think about. So is that clock on, yeah? So we just wait for the phone call.
Yeah, I'll start it again.
That's all right. So how long have we got?
152.
Yeah. Just work on a few more, and then we'll get going in starting some rounds in it. I mean, was it 3?
I'll put 3s on if you want.
No, what have you got on?
5s.
5s of that. Let's have some 5s. And we'll just start in that position.